he taught himself how to breathe. Taught himself to breathe. Now, he didn't have anything called prana breathing. My medium, he tells you about the prana breathing. That's just so perfect. But he didn't know about prana. He just knew how to breathe. And if you don't get this, don't ever be a healer, because you got to learn how to breathe in order to breathe, to heal. You got to learn how to breathe in order to heal. Because understand this thing. What he was doing right now, it was so empowering and so powerfully done that before his death, before the morning of his death, the jailer came into her cell and told him, she's free of this whole thing. Her blindness is gone. She's sitting up in bed asking for food. Just last night, she was trembling and shaking, and all of a sudden, she went solid, so soft and beautiful. And understand this. This is what you're doing in this healing thing. You know, the medium, he tells you, you got to be doing things a certain way. And you got to do it as close as you can do it. Because understand this. It gives you a certain device, a certain path that you can go down. And you go down that path, it leads from one to the next. So if you're breathing, you have to understand, if you're breathing. And he talked about the higher self. He talked to the higher self of this jailer's daughter. Her name remains nameless right now because she's not the answer. This was a cause to get to the answer. And what she did is he talked to her. He had in this cell, a little grungy little cell, he's got this beautiful table, and he's got a beautiful sheet over it. And the body, there it is on top of him. And the jailer comes in and tells him the next morning, she says, she's cured. She's cured beautifully. She's asking for food and so on and so forth. And he's willing now to go to be dead, to go to death. But understand this thing. That was not going to be the easiest job they'd ever done either, because understand, like Master Jesus. Now, you can relate Master Jesus on the cross. His body stretched out there. And understand this. You can pick on it all day. You can't prove it or not prove it. But you got to know somewhere in your heart that he was dying. And he raised up off of this body right here and went up into this higher self. And the angels escorted him out of here. But understand this thing. St. Valentine's, he was a saint beyond any stretch of the imagination. But what they did was, he was to be sentenced to death by stoning and all kinds of things to him. Guess what? He wouldn't die. They couldn't die. He wouldn't die because he wanted to hear what he needed to hear. And then the jailer came over to him and he said, by the way, she got your letter last night. And he remembered his letter. And it said, from Valentine. That's all he needed. He started to pass away. But that time, the jailers grabbed him and took him outside the gate and beheaded him. That's the only way they could get him out of here. But understand this thing. Before that happened, he knew what he needed to know. And that's just one of many stories.